Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. The IMF boss was given a first-hand view of Barbados' needs. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Friday, 17th June 2022. Details when we return.
Hubbard's Multi-Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived are new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Welcome back. The International Monetary Fund team gets a first-hand look at some of the challenges facing Barbados. Sandy Dean of Barbados Today reports.
The managing director of the International Monetary Fund got a first-hand view of some of the infrastructure challenges and development concerns for Barbados as she learned from Prime Minister Mia Mottley of some of the plans the country is pursuing. Accompanied by government ministers and other officials along with the IMF team, they went on a tour of selected areas across the island as they discussed several issues relating to development and financing. With another expected active hurricane season currently in play, Prime Minister Mia Mottley used the opportunity to point out to the IMF boss of the island's need for improvement in the housing stock if the country is to be spared the worst from a hurricane system.
They all started to build these flat roofs. And what was supposed to be a temporary fix became a standard across the country. If this country is hit for 4, 5, 6 hours, or worse than that, like Dorian in Bahamas, that hit for 2 days, we will lose 70% of our low-income housing stock.
Because of the
roofs. And that's why we're now, who's William right there, he has been leading a program for me to try and get the hurricane straps in. But even with the hurricane straps, the truth is that we have to hope that we get nothing more than a Category 2 hurricane. But anything above Category 3 to 5, your wish is us. You know, you just have to pray. So, ironically, those gable roofs, they stay. Because of the pitch and because of the hit roof. So we have to get back people building that kind of roof in order to be able to
Could you make it a standard?
That's what we're trying to for new houses.
Another major talking point on the tour was the government's plan to develop the agricultural sector to ensure food security and help the island to cope in an environment of rising food prices.
Food is precious.
Exactly.
And it's linked to nutrition security because as we've been importing more processed food, our NCDs, non-communicable diseases, have exploded. And it's causing us a fiscal crisis on health as well as on the fact that we haven't got cheap food.
But the whole world is not just here. The whole world is faced with very high energy and food prices. And that is a problem that is going to be with us this year, very likely next year.
Yep.
So we all have to work
together. And work together.
The international organizations have responsibility, national governments have responsibilities, citizens have responsibilities, so we don't turn this into a crisis.
Now, even though monkeypox has not yet been declared a public health emergency, Trinidad and Tobago is taking all necessary precautions to prepare. Details in this TTT News item.
Chief Medical Officer Dr. Roshan Parasram says especially now that a case has been detected in Venezuela, there is more reason to be concerned. He points out that a committee attached to the World Health Organization is due to meet soon to consider whether monkeypox should be declared as an international public health emergency. He says if that is done, it will affect how Trinidad and Tobago responds to it, but assures that steps are already being put in place.
We have kind of preempted that decision, and we consider it a concern, especially now that you saw there's a case in Venezuela that has been confirmed as well, which is pretty close to us geographically. So we have taken the steps, treating it as a public health emergency of international concern before it is actually deemed that by WHO, just preemptively, because it's always better to prepare
Dr. Parasuram adds that port health officials are already on high alert.
So we're looking at our port health response, so ensuring that our port health workers have the essential training that is required to detect any unusual diseases and, of course, take the necessary steps by way of isolation and treatment thereafter, and to ensure that we have a very informed clinical cohort in the country, meaning that the physicians are well trained as to how to recognize the signs and symptoms, and of course the public can recognize the signs and symptoms.
Over 1,600 cases have been detected across 39 countries, with 72 deaths reported so far.
In the meantime, the World Health Organization is looking into reports that the monkeypox is present in the semen of patients, which causes them to explore the possibility that the disease could be sexually transmitted.
Many cases in the current monkeypox outbreak, largely centered in Europe, are among sexual partners who have had close contact, and the agency reiterated that the virus is mainly transmitted via close personal contact. In recent days, scientists say they have detected viral DNA in the semen of a handful of monkeypox patients in Italy and Germany, including a lab-tested sample that suggested that the virus found in the semen of a single patient was capable of infecting another person and replicating. Catherine Smallwood, monkeypox incident manager at the World Health Organization Europe, said it was not known whether recent reports meant that the monkeypox virus could be sexually transmitted. More than 1,300 cases of the viral disease have been reported by about 30 countries since early May. Most cases have been reported in men who have sex with men.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
The Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago could be facing food shortages and higher food prices over the next few months.
Flour, vegetable oil, peas, and some types of meats are some of the products that the country could face possible shortages of. Members of the business community have attributed these likely shortages and higher prices to the conflict in Ukraine and other factors like the lack of access to foreign exchange. A media release from the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations in Trinidad and Tobago on Friday warned that the country and other countries worldwide to brace for higher food prices. The global food import bill is on a course to hit a new record of $1.8 trillion this year, but higher prices and transport costs rather than volumes account for the bulk of the expected increase, the release said.
St. Lucia's former Prime Minister Alan Shastany is concerned about the disastrous effects that criminal activity in Vieux Fort is having on economic activity there. Here is Don Nicholas of the DBS News World with more.
UWP leader Alan Shastany profited the opportunity to travel down the traditionally busy Clark Street in Vieux Fort following the spate of gang-related crimes there and noticed that there was hardly any economic activity going on there. Some vendors who fear getting caught in the crossfire between rival gangs have opted to stop plying their trade there, while others have decided to reduce their working hours.
It was really unbelievable, before the elections, it would take you over an hour to drive through Clark Street. Now you drive through, there's nobody there. There's no economic activity. Everybody is suffering. So crime is not just the victims themselves, but it's as a result of the seriousness of the crime, everybody is suffering.
To emphasize how desperate the situation is, the former Prime Minister noted that some members of the public are calling for the return of Operation Restore Confidence, despite all the trauma that it caused for human rights activists and the police who were involved in the alleged extrajudicial killings.
Even some of the issues that Restore Confidence created, but people are willing to say, bring it back. It tells you that we're getting to a point of no return.
Despite that, according to Mr. Shastany, the SLP administration has failed to take strong and decisive action to stamp out the criminal activity. For the DBS News World, I am Don Nicholas.
Meantime, the political leader of the UWP, Alan Shastany, says he's prepared to accept whatever changes decision makers of the organization deem necessary as it seeks to restructure. Shastany pledged his continued support ahead of the UWP's convention of delegates scheduled for later this year. The event will be used to elect a new political leader, among other individuals to serve in other key positions.
UWP leader Alan Chasney pointed out that after elections, the party decided to review the operations of the organization with a view to restructuring, to correct some of the issues that contributed to the party's huge defeat at the polls. He's aware that this may involve some leadership changes, starting with the political leader himself. But Mr. Chasney says he will support whatever decision that is taken.
Whatever my party decides, I will support. I've indicated to my party and to my colleagues, after I had taken my break, I was satisfied that I had no anger in me. I was satisfied that I have no regrets in me. There's no resentment. And that I remain personally very committed to the goals that we had in pushing this country forward.
He made it clear that he's not about to sever ties with the party, nor holding anyone to ransom for not supporting him when the party holds its convention.
And I've said this to my colleagues, and I can say this publicly. Many of us have been given a blessing from our party, and our party have invested equity into us. And it's not equity that you can monetize. This is experience and time. And I think for the first time in a very long time, United Workers' Party has very deep benefits, because now we've gotten people who have been ministers for 3 terms. We have parliamentarians for 4 terms, and at all different levels. And I'm so proud of them.
His comments came at a meeting with the media on Tuesday. For the DBS News World, I'm Don Nicholas.
After over 45 days in police lockup in the US, former Premier of the British Virgin Islands, Andrew Fayed, was released on bail.
Sources said that Fayed posted a $1 million bail in Florida with a Nebia proffer condition attached to half of the funds. The affidavit document named Albion Hudge, former politician and well-known businessman, as the source of the $500,000 corporate surety bond in place of the former premier. Hudge is Fayed's childhood friend. In addition, the condition of the bail requires Fayed to wear an ankle monitor, and his defense attorney can only visit him at his daughter's apartment in southwest Miami-Dade County. His family is also required to surrender their passports to authorities. He cannot be found within close distance to any transportation centers, including bus stops. Fayed was arrested in the United States on charges of drug smuggling and money laundering. The trial is expected to begin in the middle of next month.
Conveniently located in the Grand Anse Shopping Center, for over 40 years, Food Fair has provided quality service at affordable prices. Now, grocery shopping is made easier and more convenient from the Food Fair web store.
Hey, babe. Listen, I need you to go down to Food Fair to get some groceries.
All right, no problem. Right away.
Thanks, babe. What are you doing? You're supposed to be going Food Fair to get a grocery, man.
I am, but didn't you know you can order your groceries online from the Food Fair web store?
Are you serious?
Of course. All you have to do is just to log on to www.foodfair.gd with credit card in hand, and with an order of $100 or more, Food Fair Grand Anse will deliver up to 3 miles away. And you don't even have to worry about your information, you know. Their safety measures are excellent.
So hold on. You just order online and Food Fair will deliver to you?
Yep.
Oh, baby, better hurry up and order, man.
I already did. They should be here any minute now.
Enjoy easy online shopping anytime from your home or office from the Food Fair web store. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
I am Eddie Frederick, wishing you a restful weekend. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.